I bought the venue 5.5 years ago.
Okay.
So I've had it, it was May 2010.
Okay. And did you do any of this kind of thing before the Fleece? Really?
Well, I've been a musician since I left school.
Okay.
I've been in bands. I also used to play in pubs doing covers with backing tracks.
Okay.
Which I did for 25 years, from the age of 18 till I got this place. I was actually living in Switzerland, playing in ski resorts, just earning money playing music, which is all I've ever done. So I'm a bit of an expert when it comes to filling a calendar with shows, but they were for me, because it was my job. I had to play 5 or 6 times a week, so I was always booking gigs. So booking gigs is what I've always done. This is a completely different level though, because this is touring bands, tribute bands, covers bands, local gigs, comedy shows, burlesque. We do everything. Because to be open 7 nights a week, you have to completely diversify.
Yeah.
So I took what I knew, which was filling calendars with gigs, and basically this whole thing came along just by chance. I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I was like, well, that sounds interesting. About the time I did something else in my life, why not give it a go? Didn't expect to get it. Kind of went in sort of jokingly, oh, I want to buy the Fleece, you know. And I just got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
But I didn't know anything about bars. I know, like I say, I know about music.
Yeah.
I know nothing about pubs. And the things with the Fleece, it's not a pub or a bar that puts on music. It's a music venue that has a bar in it. If you think that way round, you get the bands right, you get the music right, people will always buy beer, the bar will take care of itself. So I just needed to make sure I had a good bar manager that knew how to change barrels and do gas and all that stuff that I don't know anything about. And I knew it would be alright.
Alright, awesome. And then on an average night, like, how would you describe the atmosphere at the Fleece?
Variable.
Yeah.
It can be amazing, it can be boring, it can be everything. I mean, this is the thing, you've got seven nights a week of live music, so it covers every kind of conceivable mood. Generally though, I'd say the mood in the Fleece is amazing, because everyone's at least 4 or 5 times a week. We've got busy gigs, it's bands people have been waiting weeks to see. They're really excited. They love coming here because it's such a great venue. It's a nice big square room, there's a nice long bar, everyone can get served, everyone can see, the stage is high, the sound's great. Just upgraded our PA, we've got a 20 grand digital desk and a digital monitor desk. So, you know, we've basically done everything we can to make the venue the best it can be for the audience. You don't want to go to a gig and complain that you couldn't see, or the sound was rubbish, or you couldn't get served, or the security were unfriendly. So I've made sure that we've eradicated all the things that can make people's experience of a gig bad.
Okay. Have you ever had any problems with noise complaints from like people around you?
Never.
Really?
This venue's been here 34 years.
Wow.
There's no neighbours. We've never had a single noise complaint yet.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's about to change.
Yeah. Why?
Because they're building flats next door.
Okay, yeah. I was actually going to ask you about that next. What are the plans for the flats? Do you know?
There's 2 different developments. The first one, I was first alerted to it 2 years ago. I happened to find a notice on a lamppost. Basically, there's a building. As you walk out the door, there's a huge building right there. It's behind the stage. It's going to be turned into something between 70 and 80 flats. The guy behind the project isn't very approachable. He's not very. Doesn't really care about us. He just wants to make as much money as he possibly can. I did have a meeting with him. He kind of let me know that. He said it's your job to make sure that you don't make too much noise. And it's like, well, actually, we've been here 35 years, and you are putting flats next to us.
Yeah.
You really need to be a bit more responsible. We started a petition, Save the Fleece campaign, 44,000 signatures in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, you know, Bristol loves the Fleece. It's an iconic venue. It's what High End is to Manchester, or Eric's is to Liverpool. You know, people have met their future partners here. They've had some of the best nights of their lives here, and they don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So it's my job to do everything I can to keep it that way.
Yeah.
The problem isn't now. The problem is 2 years away, because they've got to build the flats. People have got to move in. Then they've got to complain about the noise. Then the council has to uphold the complaints. Then we can appeal. Then you know, the whole process will take a long time, but once we get to that point where they go, okay, something needs to change, then we could have 11 o'clock curfews, we could have noise meters put in. Basically, we can lose everything, because once you have to have noise meters, if we lose our club nights, that's half our income gone, we can't survive. So literally the venue could be closed 6 months after any license changes that are applied to it.
That's crazy. Do you think that there should be more regulations to protect you guys since you were here first?
Absolutely. There's a fantastic organisation called the Music Venue Trust, which was started a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They meet every year in London. The first one was last year, the second one was last week. A guy called Mark David who's behind it, and they basically get 150 to 200 venues around the country together. We've formed a really strong alliance, and we're all lobbying MPs and getting things. By becoming a unified group, we're actually getting things changed. My fight against these flats, I had George Ferguson, the Mayor of Bristol, on my side. I had Kerry McCarthy, who is the Bristol East Labour MP, who's now just become the Shadow Environment Secretary.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think so. Environment Secretary is the one that looks after farming and stuff like that. And she's been really behind us. She actually wrote a letter supporting us. Basically, it's quite complicated. I'll go into the details of it if you want. The government changed the planning laws in 2013. It's a 3-year window, and you can turn any office block into a block of flats without the normal planning restrictions, which is great because there's a shortage of housing. It's a nice, simple solution. There's lots of unused office blocks that people could live in. I agree with that principle. I have no problem with it. The problem is they relax the planning law so much that there's hardly any constraints on it. I think there's currently 3 things that can stop it. It's something to do with highways impact, flood risk, and another. There's like 3 sort of things that aren't really that important. But the one they missed out is noise problems. So if they'd have attached a 4th condition saying that we have to be very careful about noise problems, or we need to investigate. This is a thing that needs to be looked at before we can say yes, you've got permission. We'd have been okay. The problem is all these office blocks tend to be in city centres next to music venues, theatres, places that have been here for. I mean, some of these theatres have been here for over 100 years, and there's a huge office next to them that's not making any money. So the developer thinks, oh great, well we got this office block that's derelict, we're losing thousands of pounds, turn it into flats, sell them all, make loads of money. Great, okay, that's fine, soundproof it. Spend a lot of money soundproofing it properly, because we have club nights until 4 o'clock in the morning. On a Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, you've got 200 people outside at 3 o'clock in the morning smoking, drunk, making a lot of noise. It's fine at the moment because nobody lives around here. But as soon as you've got bedrooms overlooking this, people are going to start complaining. So the priority is to make sure that these flats are really well soundproof. Bristol City Council agreed with us and put a condition on the development saying that all windows facing the fleece have to remain fixed shut. They can't be opened. But to achieve that, they have to have mechanical ventilation. So if it gets hot in the summer, they can't open the windows, they put the aircon on, fine. Problem with that is it's very expensive. But if you want to put flats next to the fleece, do it properly. Yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money, you're still going to make a profit. The developer said, I'll make less money if the windows are fixed shut. I want to make as much money as I can. And we're saying, we've got 44,000 people saying we don't want you to do this, so if you're going to do it properly at least. And he's like, well, I can make more money if I can open the windows. So he appealed against the Bristol City Council's decision to support us. That went to a national appeal, and he won.
Really?
So when I was at the Music Venue Conference last week, I asked a question of Ed Vasey, who is the Culture Secretary, on the panel. I said, because basically on this panel he was saying we've changed the planning laws, it's much easier to get protection for venues, but it's the local council's job to apply to basically enforce these changes. Well, my question was to Ed, right, Bristol City Council have done what you say they need to do. They have put really good conditions on this development to protect us. the local the national planning inspector has appealed the decision. He's won. Bristol City Council have now got to pay £20,000 costs to the developer for his legal fees. Now Bristol City Council has said we're not going to do this anymore. If anyone else wants to put flats next to a music venue, we're not going to enforce such stringent noise conditions for fear of losing the case and having to pay legal fees.
Yeah.
So the system doesn't work. And I said to Ed Vasey, you know, you're telling us it's a local council's job to do this, they're doing it, and then the national planning inspectors are overturning the decisions. It's your job to overrule that.
Yeah.
And he's saying these guys are independent. There's nothing we can do. It's their, you know, it's their choice. Well, that's not a democracy. You know, if you've got a planning inspector that can just go, actually, yeah, you can open your windows. Yeah, I know 44,000 people said they'd rather you couldn't, but I'm in a good mood today, and I'm going to be on the developer's side.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of democracy is that? And my question to Ed Vasey was, why can't you enforce your policy changes on the planning inspectors? The government wrote the changes to the planning law on Christmas Eve last year, much more in favour of music venues. The planning inspectors aren't enforcing that change.
Yeah.
So the government should step in and overrule the decision. This is my main problem with this, you know. And this, hopefully, people like you doing these kind of interviews, if you research it well and you write the piece well, present it, get people on your side, you can help us change things.
Yeah.
But think something needs to be done, because at the moment the system is being heralded as a great success, and the government's doing the right thing. It's helping music venues. The Mayor of London's got this task force. Everything's great, but the reality is it doesn't work. And we're about to have 80 people live next door, and they can open their windows in the summer. That's a massive problem.
Yeah, that's crazy. Were you surprised by the amount of support that the police got, though?
No,
You weren't?
not at all.
Really?
I know how much. I used to come here. I came here on my 18th birthday in the 1980s.
Wow.
You know, and I got, just a side story, I got refused to drink because I looked about 12.